Okay, so today we'll be talking about aggression. First off, Josh was awarded Team Spirit last week, so let's close that off. Or you were awarded Team Spirit. Yeah, last week. So now you'll talk about who you think deserves growth, learning, and failure. That block, that general block.
Yes.
Ja.
Tager jeg bare lige på der.
Ja, det er fint.
Jeg har valgt at give den til Tobias. Fordi jeg føler, at han udvikler så meget fra starten af sæsonen og så indtil nu. Også der spiller med ham på Serie 2. Så kamp til kamp så bliver han blevet meget bedre. Og nu er han også godt med at lave springsæt og sådan noget. Så føler der er en udvikling i hans voldbold-ting. Så derfor har jeg valgt at give det der.
Tak.
Tillykke.
Tak.
So, we'll talk about aggression, and first off, as always, we'll go around in a circle, and you guys will just talk about what that means to you, what you guys think about in reference and relevance to volleyball and life in general. Can you go first, Bertram?
Sure. I think when I hear aggression, I think about when you go for something, try to do something, you put a little more energy into it, more violently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, I think aggression can be really become negative if you don't understand how to put it out to your teammates or in your relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So it's aggression tempered by communication, and how you either take people down or take people up.
I think there's controlled aggression and uncontrolled aggression. So uncontrolled aggression is kind of like Casper when he gets drunk, or it's like he just gets mad at everyone. Where he just gets mad at everyone, and there's controlled aggression, which some players on the team embodies a lot on the court, where it's like if they're ambitious about something, they will do everything they can to get it in a sort of aggressive manner.
Yes, I think aggression is very important for a volleyball match, because if you have to control a game, then you have to be aggressive and to try new stuff on the court.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, aggression is if you can control your aggression and use it in the right way, then it's good aggression. But sometimes if you can not control it, it can affect people badly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important that you control your aggression in a good way. For example, I play better when I'm a bit angry, because then I focus more and
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with all what they said. I don't have any words for it.
I think aggression is very important to be, because if you just don't care about the game, you don't get any better, or you don't care. I don't think that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to be aggressive.
Yeah.
If you want to win a match or something, to prove something.
Mm-hmm.
It's already been said. I feel like. Yeah.
For me, aggression on the court when we're training, for example, Kenneth is good at getting aggressive at the teammates if they do not do the things they need to do to complete the training exercise, for example, and get people to be a better mood, so they tage sig sammen, eller siger, hvad det means.
Pull your shit together.
Pull your shit together, yeah.
that's really just
So that's a good aggression that I think Kenneth has.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think there are on court 4 different types of getting angry, especially. There's getting angry at yourself, at your team, at the coach, and at the judge, at the ref. The ref and coach you cannot do anything about, but the other ones you can control. And like Simon says, Kenneth is very good at getting angry at the team players, but in a good way. So he motivates people to do better, and getting angry at yourself. It's already been spoken about.
Mm-hmm.
For me, aggression kind of correlates to being having courage. having the aggression and courage to jump into something new, both in life and volleyball. Being aggressive, knowing that even if you hit a ball that's not out of the court, you can't just go tipping or just go and putting in easy balls. Just like it corresponds to life, I think. If you fail at something, you gotta try again. Maybe do something better. You can't just give up and take the easy route every time. You gotta be aggressive and go for it when you have the chance to do so. And sometimes it fails. Sometimes you get the good thing out of it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Can I say something?
Yep.
I will never be angry at anybody. I'm just because I'm care. I care about you guys. Yeah. Maybe I'm only disappointing in you if you don't do the things. If you hit the ball in net or out, I will never be angry at you. I would just want to win. So that's the only thing. If I sound angry, yeah, I'll never be angry.
Do you have something?
Yeah, it's just that's what I meant by it. You're not angry at people, but you become angry and then we all get focused or something.
Yeah.
We know that it's not directly at someone. So
Bare tage puls.
yeah, good aggression.
I get angry at people, so you don't have to. Yeah, so I would say that aggression, if we were to put it on a scale, it would be from passive to aggressive. Those are how those things work together, in my opinion, is on the one end, you're very passive and let things happen to you, and you don't do much about it. And then aggression is you're always going out and getting things, and I think both of those can become toxic in their own right. You can be toxically passive, which means you just sit around while life happens to you, and maybe it's someone else's fault all the time, maybe it's never your fault, and that's where you can begin to integrate aggression. And then on the other side, a toxic aggression would be pushing other people out of the way and not having good relationships with people because you're overly aggressive. So one example that I can think of off the top of my head is how chimp hierarchies organize themselves. It's not the most aggressive chimp that is the ruler or the top of whatever dominance hierarchy he's in. It's actually, and if he is, or if that is the dominant chimp, he doesn't last long because every now and then he'll have a bad day, and then 2 or 3 chimps that are just under him will rip him to pieces, and one of them will become the new top honcho. So the most stable dominance hierarchies are based on reciprocity. So it's when we're giving to each other consistently, and you have some kind of trust in one another, that I can give you something and you'll give me something back, and we can work together and we can trust in our relationship over time, and that can lead to an overall good outcome for the entire group. So on one end we have the passive, letting things happen to you, or the world happening to you. I've met tons of people like that throughout my life. The people that life just happens to them. They have no free will, no control over anything that's happening. It seems as though they've never made a decision in their lives. It's just something happens to you and you complain about it because, oh well, the dog was barking and the sun was in my eyes and this person got that job because everything's unfair and the whole system is set up just in spite of me because I'm an ant and God is an angry child with a magnifying glass that's trying to smite me. I would recommend to not be that person. I always joke around with Albert, my roommate, and I always make this joke that, I always make this joke with Albert that I try to act as much as I can like a old-time Jew, and I have a really deep respect for the Hebrew tradition and the Jewish tradition in general. But what I mean by that is act like a good old-fashioned Jew is, in the Old Testament, any time that something catastrophic happened to the Jews, the first thing they would ask is, what did we do to upset God? It was never, oh, God is this, God is that, God is unfair. It was always, okay, we've clearly done something to upset this entity. What is it? What have I done? What can I be better at? And there was a long time in my life where I think I might have taken that to the nth degree, to a little bit too far extreme. I mean, I ruptured my Achilles, I'm like, well, maybe I could have strength trained in a different way, or stretched a little bit more, or gotten enough sleep. And I think that having that perspective on life actually gets you quite far. But I think that it can become toxic if you don't have the proper personality to deal with it. For example, if I think that if I were more neurotic in personality, then I would have a lot more issues than I do. But in general, I blame myself for most everything that happens to me in my life. Anything that happens, I always think about what could have I done to turn that into an ideal situation. And in the future, how can I change my behavior so that I can make that into an ideal situation? Or how can I change things so that I can react to that? And that's what I think aggression is. That's what I think, I like to call it integrated aggression, because I think that we're all aggressive, whether we know it or not, whether we like it or not. Randy just watched a movie called Schindler's List, and have you guys ever seen Schindler's List? Do you guys know what it's about? I'll explain it quick. So, it's the beginning of World War II. More specifically, it's the beginning of the Holocaust, and a man named Schindler is a German businessman, and what he does is uses the German laws around the Jewish community to extract cheap labor. And the Jewish community has notoriously been very good at business over the millennium. So he exploits that and gets these people to work in his workshops, and over time develops a compassion for these people and a camaraderie with these people, and he ends up saving a lot of these Jewish people by housing them in his factories and altering the rules or twisting the rules as much as he can and saving people. And then there's another character that's juxtaposed to Schindler in this movie, and I forget what his name is, we were talking about it last night. And what this guy is the complete opposite, where he's put in charge of, it would be a concentration camp a little bit, or maybe a work camp would be a more appropriate way to put it. So he's put in charge of work camp, and there's one scene where he goes out onto his balcony and just picks up a sniper rifle and like morning coffee and just starts shooting people because he can. And I watched it a while ago with Albert, and Randy and I talked about it, and something I always talk about with Randy in that movie is everyone assumes themselves to be Schindler in that circumstance. Everyone would expect for themselves to be the person that would be auspicious and take in as many people and save as many people as possible, but I think that everyone lies on a continuum between those two characters. I, more often than not, would think of myself as the alternative to Schindler, as the guy that you get a little bit of power and it just corrupts you, and it corrupts you, and it corrupts you, and it corrupts you, until you're someone that you never thought you could be. And I think that's a lesson that we learned during the Holocaust, during World War II, and throughout the 21st century. I think that there have been many, many examples of how people have given the opportunity for aggression, and it's corrupted them, changed them, because I don't think that people have that integrated aggression. People don't know how to be aggressive in a healthy way, and from that it becomes this toxicity that boils in us, because we can never let it out until we get the opportunity to let it out fully, and then I think that it overcomes us, and I think that that's when the shadow takes over the individual. One example of that I think about a lot is how in school the kids aren't allowed to wrestle ever, or especially boys, and boys really need to wrestle. You guys really need to play around and fight each other and grip each other, and one way that helps you is that it actually shows you the boundaries that other people have in a physical way. I think that's how we conceptualize thought at first, is you experience it in some physical way, and then you can think about it a little bit, and then it can branch out a little bit more into different modes of expression. So using that example, it's the way that I train dogs and cats to, like, young puppies and young kittens. I worked in a dog shelter or an animal shelter for a few years, and the way that I trained cats and dogs to not bite or scratch or any of those things would be, I would play with it and be really nice to it until it bit me or scratched me, and then I would just say ow, and I'd make a real scene of it. I'd act it out, and I'd leave the room, and then they'd know that wasn't appropriate. That if they bit me, we wouldn't be able to play anymore, and animals will die to play. Animals are so motivated to play, and the way that you can see how motivated something is to play is put a little harness onto it with a spring, and the spring is measuring how hard they're pulling. And then, so then you could put a rat into a cage, and then you could put another rat into another cage and see how hard it'll pull on the string. And that's how hard it wants to play, basically. And then you can put food in front of it as well. And there are some times where animals want to play more than they want food. So we really want food, or we really want to play, sorry. And it's just so crazy to me that kids aren't allowed to play in school. Because that's how you integrate that aggression. Because if you don't learn how to integrate that aggression, then you don't learn boundaries. I mean, that's what kids are learning as well when they're playing with their parents, or they're playing with you as an uncle maybe, is they're playing with you until they pull your hair, and then you say, ow, that hurts, don't do that. And they go, okay, maybe I can't pull hair. And then that's a rule that becomes iterated over time. Okay, I can't stick my fingers into ears, or eyes, or up someone's nose, and maybe I can't pull a tuft of hair out every time that I want to. And so, that's one of the ways that we can integrate aggression. And it's the same with conversation as well. If I'm talking to my girlfriend, or if I'm talking to someone on a team, and I yell at them, and I think that it's completely appropriate, and then they come to me after and say, yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't like the way that you spoke to me there. That didn't make me feel good. Okay, then I know. Then that's a boundary that we've created by being aggressive, by integrating aggression. And you need that friction in relationships in life. Anytime that I see that friction between myself and people, I always try to address it. I always try to never leave friction unmet. Because if I feel friction with someone, if I feel, okay, this person is clearly upset with me, or I'm clearly upset with this person, I'm going to go and say something to that person. I'm going to speak my mind, because that's going to improve our relationship. That's going to create a stronger bond. That heat, that fire, bonds us together a little bit harder, a little bit better. And if I let that go, then our relationship, we get a little bit of distance. But we need that friction to bond together to other people. And I know that sounds a little bit strange, but I think that's very true. And that's conflict as well. That's one of the personality traits that we've talked about with openness or creativity and conscientiousness. That's another one, is disagreeableness and agreeableness. So I'm very agreeable by nature. I am not a fan of conflict. I don't like to yell. I'm sure that you guys have realized that. I might do it every now and then, but I really don't like to. I don't like to have fights with people, but it's something that I've realized over time, is that if I can have smaller fights with people in the moments that they feel necessary, I'm going to avoid a much bigger fight with people down the road. And I do the same thing with my girlfriend, because I know that if I let little fights slip, then one day we have a big fight where all of the little fights come out. And nothing's worse than having a disagreement about something and then having it turn into 10 different things. That each one of those, you could have killed them right in the crib, but you've let them grow. And now you have to fight 10 different things at the same time. So, I think that aggression is necessary. I know that a lot of people don't. I am a horrible teacher because I always let the kids in my school play fight and wrestle anytime I see them doing that. Because I think they need that. I think that's such a helpful skill. Like I talked about last week with Rasmus at the end, kids should just be allowed to play for like 10 hours a day. I would just put people into the gym, and then hopefully your guys' brain develops fast enough that you can learn at a faster rate as you get older. But I think you guys need as much play as you can, as much integrated aggression as you can, the environment in which it's okay to fail, and it's okay to talk to people and learn what people want. And I think that we have that trust in our community now, that I can say to you guys, hey, I didn't like that you did that. And then very quickly, like that now, you guys are, okay, you didn't like that, I won't do that anymore. I mean, even Randy talked about that with Seaman, where Seaman came over and, hey Randy, Randy's like, I like when you call me coach. And then from that point on, Seaman called Randy coach all the time, and Randy's like, I like that kid. That kid learns quick. I can just have a little conflict with him, and it's just boom, over. And those are the best relationships that you guys are going to have in your whole life. The relationships where your friend does something dumb, and you tell them that you didn't like that, and they just change like that. And if you get into a friendship like that, oh man, it's so much fun. You're just making each other better all the time. It's great. You can start giving each other feedback all the time, and it just becomes so easy to learn and get better with people like that. So I would highly I would highly recommend that you find relationships where you can integrate aggression, where you can be honest with people, where you can learn how to fight with people, because that's really what it is. That's really what it is to integrate that aggression. And then on the other side of it, when you integrate that aggression, then I think that that's when people can become killers. That's the tippy top. We're not going to have time to do those lectures, unfortunately. They were, I would have titled them the Pack and then the Killer, and the Pack would have been the culmination of the community side of things, and then the Killer would have been the individual side of things. But that's the culmination, is integrated aggression, integrated shadow. You know exactly who you are. You know what motivates you, what drives you, where you get your motivation from, and at that point you can just become a killer. And you can just turn it on in matches, in games, in anything that you do in life. Like Josh said, he plays a little bit better when he's angry. I'm the same. I like to be a little bit pissed off when I play. I have so much more fun like that. Because I just feel this focus. Someone tries to talk to me and kind of, maybe I was playing a tournament the other week, and one of the guys on the other team tried to make a few jokes through the net, and I can't even live in that world. I'm just focused on the ball. I don't want to talk to you. I just want to win. That's all I want to do. I just want the ball in my hand. So I think that comes at later steps, and my hope is that we can get to that place. There's this, I'm reading Thus Spoke Zarathustra, which is a Friedrich Nietzsche book. He's an old German philosopher, and he has, the book is basically about an old wise man that goes into the woods and learns all these lessons about himself and about the world and about the human condition, and he comes in and shares it with all the village people and these people that kind of become his disciples. And so it's all of these little lessons that he has, and one of them that I just loved was that he said, I laugh at the people who think that they're peaceful because their claws aren't sharp. I like that because the people that I trust the most, the people that I like to be around the most, are the people that have that integrated aggression, but they don't have to show it all the time. They can turn it on like that. It's the people that are super duper nice, and then first thing that you need to be a dick about something, first thing you need to be a killer. You can just flip it on. And just so you guys know, that's what girls are looking for as well. That's the, what's that called? It's the Beauty and the Beast. It's the story of the Beauty and the Beast. I forget what the actual story is called. Harlequin romance. Yeah, the Harlequin romance, and that's a girl finds a beast and then tames him so that he's integrated enough to protect the society from other people, and that's also the story of the protection from the psychopath in actual communities. So that's what girls are looking for. If you can learn how to integrate your aggression, integrate that killer spirit, then girls are probably going to like you a lot more. That's why young girls like guys that are also guys that are dicks, guys that are daredevils, that kind of thing.
Bad boy.
Yeah, precies. Yeah, the bad boy. Girls like the bad boy. So, but if you can integrate that, so you're the good guy when it matters, and then the bad guy when it matters, that's the yin yang. That's having both sides of the story. So, I think that we've tried to do that throughout the year, is integrate that and learn how to bring that up when you need it, to be friends when you need it, and to be competitors when you need it. So, my hope is that you guys can go forward and continue with that, because I think this is a good group, and I think that you guys can do that. I think you guys have the capability to be killers, to be a pack. You guys have any questions? Yeah.
Not in this thing. When do you know that you are leaving the club, or do you not know that yet?
I'm uncertain as of now.
And what does that mean?
Han er ikke sikker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll get you guys. You guys will be the first to know.
All right. Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah. I think that's all I have.